mistakes. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Trudging. Good afternoon. Good after Wednesday afternoon to you. I hope you are having a wonderful hump day. Mine's going all right. I haven't really been doing much today. Oh, man. Oh. I'm out of taco juice. It's all right. The coffee will have to cut it. Coffee will have to do it, right? Hi, Angel. Good to see you. This is one of the phone calls that I had. I also talked with Stacy for a little bit, just so you know. Not Stacy's mom, but Stacy. Keep forgetting to take my meds. I got to take them. Sorry if this triggers some people, but it's not. It's heart meds and fish oil and a vitamin. So. All right. And yes, I just swallowed all those at once. All right. I hope everybody's having a good day. Things are moving forward. More stuff is happening. Yeah. Life's not too bad, right? What's the saying? I could complain, but I don't think anybody would listen. All right. So today we're going to talk about the dysfunctional family. Alcoholism is not like other stuff. Some of the stuff I don't need anymore. All right. So, but that's not really what we're talking about here. Because here's the thing. I've met people who maybe they were adopted. Their mother was an alcoholic. They were adopted by a great family where alcoholism doesn't run in the family, but this person still became an alcoholic. All right. There's some things that we just can't help. But when you grow up in a dysfunctional family, you are taught certain things, and you'll start to notice some of these things. Like, okay, now living with an alcoholic can make anybody neurotic, right? But if you always hear people say, "Oh, my picker is wrong," or right, like maybe you met a girl and all that, they seem to end up dating alcoholics or drug addicts. It's most likely because their father was one. You can live in an alcoholic dysfunctional family and nobody's even drinking. Alcoholism is a mental illness. It is something that affects everybody. And I'm not saying other addictions don't, because yeah, of course they do. But it just turns out that I happen to be an alcoholic, and there are differences, but that's not what we're getting into today. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. If you're here, please say hello. All right, I'm going to be sharing my screen here, and I'll kind of flip back and forth so I can catch any chats going on. But here it is. This is what's called the dysfunctional family, and it's actually missing. It's missing one thing. It was right here. It's just somebody took something from the 90s and made it into their own because, well, we alcoholics are lazy. So Right here was the alcoholic, the main person right here. Okay. So let's talk about the person married to the alcoholic. That's going to be the chief enabler. That is the chief enabler. We call it codependency. I'll be back to sharing the screen again. All right. This is usually the person, right, the chief enabler. So let's go back. Let's go back because before they were a chief enabler, they were one of two of these right here. And it isn't the 5 child roles. It's actually there's 4 child roles. This chief enabler is usually an adult. All right. So who usually out of these 4, see, that's where it's wrong because it isn't, it's the 4 child roles of a dysfunctional family, not in. But anyway, they're either going to be the family hero, they're either going to grow up in the family being the family hero, or the lost child. The family hero is almost always the firstborn. All right. Hi, Amber. I don't know who drew it, but I've been utilizing this picture since I was a drug and alcohol counselor when I was 20. So it was I think it was drawn in the 80s, and you can kind of tell because if you take a look at the problem child, look, he's got a mohawk, and of course nowadays that could fit nowadays. Yeah, so I guess it's caught up. And they changed the picture of the lost child to it used to be them reading a book. So the family hero is usually the high achiever. This is usually my brother was the family hero. Okay. And he did do this. He followed the rules. Now he was very responsible. Okay. But I actually raised my brother and sister. He didn't do that part. But what is the family hero going through? This is this person right here usually ends up working in the field. They will go on to run. They will go on to run detoxes. They will go into a field where they can help people. My brother is kind of in the field. He's got a master's in child psychology. Right. Some of his past jobs have been like Habitat for Humanity. Right. He's always been a high achiever, very smart guy. And he's a good guy. My older brother, he's a good guy. I mean, yeah, sure, some stuff happened, but oh well. All right. So the family hero is, like I was saying, almost always the oldest child. Okay. Now you hear this a lot. Second born. I was the second born. Right. I grew up with an older brother. There were 2 older brothers, but Richard was only around like a year or 2. I mean, so I don't really count it. He didn't grow up with us. So my older brother, and then I had a younger sister and a younger brother. And we fit this perfectly. So who's next in line? The second born. All right. The scapegoat, the black sheep, the problem child. They usually feel misunderstood. Outside, hostile, defiant, rule breaker, always in trouble. Inside, rejection, hurt, guilty, jealousy, anger. Yeah. And I was this one right here. I was the problem child. Okay. Now, this person right here is mostly going to be the next alcoholic. Okay. But even the family hero will usually marry, you're going to guess it, an alcoholic. They came from a dysfunctional family. It's what they know. So the family hero usually ends up being the chief enabler when they get older, right? Now, you've probably seen some of yourself in this already, right? The problem child. And maybe you weren't the problem child, right? And also keep in mind that you might be a few of these. You could be more than one. It just so happens that we had just the right amount of people in my family, and this all fit very, very well. And I can when I get together with the family, I can still see my brothers and sisters playing these parts sometimes. Not always, but I still see them playing that part, right? If something happens and something needs to happen fast, usually my brother's got bam, 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 right? Because he's got to be a hero. He's got to be, you know, where my younger brother will probably make a joke about it because he's the mascot, right? So, problem child usually ends up going to be the alcoholic and or addict, right? And the hero usually ends up going on to be enabler. But what about the other two, right? So now we'll move on to the next one, the next oldest one, the lost child. The lost child is probably more misunderstood than the problem child, the mascot, and the family hero because they're shy and quiet. They live in a fantasy life. They're usually solitary. These people are usually very, very introverted, right? They're very passive aggressive because, I mean, confrontation, you can fucking forget about it, right? They attach to things, not people. The lost child is also a person that can be the chief enabler. Okay. And the lost child will be a lot like the family hero in some of these things. So inside over here, rejection, hurt, anxiety. Over here, guilt, hurt, inadequacy. See, it didn't change much, did it? It did not change much at all between the lost child. It's just the family heroes are probably a little bit more extroverted, where the lost child where would prefer to go spend time by themselves. They'll usually withdraw. Out of these four, the lost child probably has more suicidal ideations. They usually self-harm, right? And they do have the potential to be the alcoholic moving forward, but usually not. Not always. Okay. It's usually the problem child. The problem child and who we're going to talk about next, the mascot. Right? This is the person that tells all the jokes. They use laughter to deflect, right? Outside, they're immature, cute, hyperactive. They usually have ADD. Well, every single person in here probably has some kind of mental illness just by growing up with the, because the chief enabler is just as dangerous as the alcoholic. So the reason I talk about this is because because often people that were, let's say, we have a couple and the wife blames the husband for being who they are. Well, I married you. No, this happened growing up in their own family. That did not happen that way. The chief enabler came from an alcoholic family. That doesn't mean somebody was drinking. Maybe there was no liquor held in the house and they hated liquor. Well, just as much, that's just as bad, right? Inside, the mascot has fear, anxiety, and insecurity. Every single one of these people are insecure, and every single one plays a role in the dysfunctional family, right? So let's dig into this just a little bit deeper. Go just a little bit deeper. Just a little bit deeper. All right. So, alcoholism is a family disease. There, okay. Alcoholism is called the family disease. Alcoholism, not addiction, not these other ones. Okay. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on that. Now, it can happen if the parents are using drugs and doing things, but we have things that are carried on generational. And I'm telling you this because if you have children, if you have more than one child, there's a good chance one of them is going to be an alcoholic if you are an alcoholic. There's a very good chance of that. Okay. And it'll probably be the second child. Right. And I'm not trying to put anything else down. I'm just kind of letting people know that was anybody able to stop your alcoholism in the beginning? No. See, this is where prevention is very, very important. Yeah. And educating our kids, right? Like sometimes my kids will be making a wrong move and I'll say, "Hey, you remember when dad did this and it didn't quite work out?" "Oh yeah, you're right, huh?" So I can even use my stuff that I did wrong to try and get them to come around a little bit, right? So the problem is dysfunction becomes normal and trauma gets inherited silently. Right? Now, every single one of these, all four of these people grew up in a different household. Even though they grew up in the same house, they grew up in a different household. It was their perception, right? Like my older brother, did he get in trouble all the time? No, he was hardly ever in trouble. I was always in trouble. So therefore, if something went wrong, it was Dion's fault. Always. That was my role. Okay. Now, the problem child, the black sheep, if this person decides to get well, that is the person that is going to start to break generational cycles. Alcoholism cannot be broken. I'm not God. I can't do that. I cannot cure somebody of a mental illness that they are born with. Anger, resentment, manipulation, gaslighting. These are the things that generate, and that is going to give my kid a much better chance at recovery. A much better chance. So we have the hero. They're the fixer, the overfunctioner, the scapegoat, the problem child who acts out when with pain. The lost child, they're invisible and withdrawn. The mascot uses humor to survive. And the caretaker rescues, enables, and absorbs the chaos. They are the deflectors of the abuse from the alcoholic. But they don't want other people to know. Their job is to protect the reputation of the alcoholic. Oh, he can't make it today. He's not feeling well. Now, that was every Monday for Dion. The Monday morning flu. I always had it. So not only that, but alcoholism warps communications. Growing up, didn't you? In my house, it would always felt like you're walking on eggshells. It always felt that way. And our secrets become our protection. Truth becomes dangerous, and emotional needs just get dismissed because the alcoholic or enabler doesn't know how to work through those things. Right? What are some of the emotional consequences? And this is going to be for everyone. There's going to be shame, anger, hypervigilance, which can turn into CPTSD and a bunch of other things. The need for control, difficulty trusting, and confusion about what love and safety are. Yep. Took me a long time to figure that one out because of the way that I was loved growing up. Yeah. I didn't receive much love. I did get a lot of hate. So there is a road to healing, right? Don't we need to work through these things? Right. And this is where it becomes a family disease again. Now, if the alcoholic decides, my kids are young and I'm going to make a change, then a lot of this can be avoided. Right. Right. Like Amber, her son's a little bit younger. A lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is going to be avoided because she decided to she decided that she wanted to be sober and in recovery and be there for her son and her fiance, her now fiance. I see a lot of it. My daughter, the kids are they do remember some stuff, all right, because they're a little bit older, but like my son. Okay, he broke a generational curse of the absentee father. Good job, Shay. Good job. I'm very proud of him for that. He broke that generational cycle. He's like, I am not going to do to my son what my dad did to me. And I'm proud of him for it. And it's something we can talk about. Do I feel guilty? Not really, but I do still feel a little bit of regret, but just enough regret to keep me motivated, not to ruin my day. All right. So if we can recover as a family, even better. It does not always work out that way. It can, but it doesn't always work out that way. And that's okay too. So recovery is a family process also. Well, what happens if your family wants nothing to do with you anymore? Then find you a good group. Most of my family is not blood related. No. All right. Angel and Amber are here. They're like sisters to me. Actually, Amber's a little bit younger, so she's more like a daughter. All right. And if you fuck with either one of those two, well, you're going to find out how Dion gets mad. Setting boundaries, breaking generational cycles, reworking trust, letting go of roles, God, community, and healthy support, of course. All right. So the alcoholic maybe gets sober, but healing the family takes honesty, grace, a new way of living, and time. This stuff's going to take time. Right? It's not going to take a month. It's not going to take 2 months. Depends on how far you went down. So, okay, now I got to see why Amber's sending me this. Sorry if I never. Okay, I have a feeling that that's not meant to be read out loud. So I'll read it in a minute. All right, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Things are starting to move forward. I'm excited about some of the things we're getting ready to do. I just got this feeling that, and it's been a while since I felt this, but God's got a plan. God's got a plan. I have a feeling that several of us are about to get what we want. And what we want is a healing community. So I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And keep on trudging.